Top for sure. So from the top.
Mr. Speaker, residents of my riding have contacted me and my team to express their frustrations with the delays they experience when contacting the CRA.
This guy's garage. Like and subscribe.
Oral questions. Questions orales. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The Prime Minister is in Mexico today for a photo op and fake agreement, but it's a great opportunity to compare because both countries are neighbors of the United States. In the last quarter, Canada's economy shrunk by 1.6%, while the Mexican economy grew by 2.4%.
Wow.
The Canadian exports to the United States crashed by 18%, while Mexican exports to the U.S. are up 1.4%.
Wow.
And the Canadian unemployment rate is 3 times higher than Mexicans.
Wow.
Will the Prime Minister ask his Mexican friends what they're doing right that he's doing so wrong?
Right.
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
Mr. Speaker, this Prime Minister believes in having a strong relationship with Mexico, our second biggest trading partner. That's exactly why he is in Mexico today, meeting with the President to make sure that we can have our trading relationship really on par. Now, the other thing that the Leader of the Opposition needs to understand is that we're living in a much more dangerous and complicated world with trade tensions having impacts on trading partners all around the world. We will stand up for workers, we'll stand up for our businesses, and we will build Canada strong.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
This is the time in the life cycle of any Liberal government when they go from making promises to making excuses. So they're blaming their collapsing economy on global tensions. But interestingly, Mexico shares the same neighbor as we do. We're both right next door to the Americas, so we can compare performance. But in the most recent quarter, the Mexican economy has actually grown by 2.4%. The Canadian economy down by 1.6%. Our unemployment is three times what theirs is. Why?
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
Mr. Speaker, what is shocking from the Leader of the Opposition comments is always talking down Canadian workers, Canadian businesses, the Canadian economy. You know what? Good news is the Bank of Canada yesterday reduced rates. We should all be celebrating that. This is good news, Mr. Speaker. And we will be there for businesses in the tariff sectors, including aluminum, steel, auto, copper, and all the other sectors, because we know that these workers are important, these businesses are important, and we have a plan to build Canada strong.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
We've had a free trade agreement with Mexico for almost 3 decades. So the Prime Minister is going for nothing more than a photo op, another fake engagement. Just like the Minister talks about interest rates, the Bank of Canada said the reason they're cutting rates while inflation is rising is because our economy is collapsing. They promised the fastest growing economy in the G7. They've delivered the fastest shrinking economy in the G7. They promised more home building. It's falling by 13%. They promised to spend less. Their deficit spending is 100% more. You know, talk is cheap, but why is it so expensive when this Prime Minister does it?
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
We know that the Leader of the Opposition believes in isolationism, which is basically that Canada is by itself in the world. We believe that we need to engage in the world. We need to make sure that Canada is working with trading partners from Mexico, from Europe to Asia. And that is why the Prime Minister will continue to travel to make sure to engage with leaders of this in the world, because we believe that it is the way to build a strong economy at home, save and protect jobs, create new ones, attract foreign direct investments, and ultimately to make sure that Canada's voice of peace and multilateralism is heard in the world.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, we've had free trade agreements with all of those countries and regions for over a decade, and yet the Prime Minister is busy looking busy, flying around, grip and grin, pretending to do a lot while doing very little. But he could make use of all of that expensive travel by asking all of those other places why their economy is so much stronger than the one that he now leads. He's got, under his leadership, the second highest unemployment in the G7, the worst economic growth in the G7, the worst household debt in the G7, and the worst household debt and housing costs in the G7. Why is it that when he promises to be the first, he's the worst?
The Honourable Minister of International Trade.
Mr. Speaker, as we look at what's happening with global trade headwinds, we need to step up as a country and be there around the world to make sure countries know that we are here. They want to deal with a reliable, stable trading partner. It's our 15 free trade agreements with 51 different countries, access to 1.5 billion consumers that countries rely on, that Canadian workers rely on. That's why the Prime Minister will be there to make sure we're opening up new markets for Canadian businesses and workers. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, these aren't new markets. The member might have been asleep. Actually, he seems like a very young man. Maybe he wasn't born when Brian Mulroney negotiated NAFTA with the Mexicans. Maybe the Prime Minister was sleeping the day Conservatives negotiated a free trade agreement with the Europeans. He's going around taking credit for things that he never did while his economy collapses here at home. Canadians cannot eat, heat, or house themselves. Will the Prime Minister stop making excuses, taking fake trips, and get down to his job?
The Honourable Minister of International Trade.
Mr. Speaker, I won't go to personal attacks as the member opposite has. We'll focus on the facts. There's people watching in the gallery. I think it's very important to note that Canada and Mexico share over 30 years of strong friendship and economic partnerships rooted in trust and trade and mutual respect. In fact, Canadian direct investment in Mexico was over $45 billion in 2024. The Prime Minister will be meeting with President Sheinbaum to defend our industries and grow our economies, Mr. Speaker. Canada is committed to CUSMA, and we're actively collaborating with Mexico, and that's why the Prime Minister is there to make sure.
After 10 years of passing catch-and-release laws that let dangerous offenders free just hours after getting arrested, the Liberals are still obstructing efforts to undo these laws. They voted down our motion, shut down Parliament, called a snap election, went on summer holidays, and still haven't even started the process to fix what they've broken. So Conservatives will do it for them. Our plan will end catch and release and give 10-year jail sentences to anyone convicted of 3 serious offences. We could pass these laws today. When will the Liberals stop obstructing Parliament and pass the Conservative 3 strikes you're out law?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, on April the 28th, Canadians gave this government a mandate to govern this country and to bring forward new legislation that will ensure that our streets are safer. The 3 strikes and you're out laws don't work, Mr. Speaker. We know that evidence-based decision-making tells us that 3 strikes, you're out is a complete failure in the United States. It's been a failure in every single jurisdiction where that's been applied. We will make smart criminal justice reform, Mr. Speaker. We'll ensure that bail is strengthened to ensure that repeat violent offenders are off our streets.
The Honourable Member for Regina Capel.
That's the best they can do. One day they might get around to doing it. The evidence is in. Their plan is what caused the crime and chaos that is plaguing our communities. They deliberately changed laws to let thousands of dangerous and repeat offenders back on the street. Now they're admitting that they were wrong, but they're obstructing any efforts to fix the problem. Thousands of Canadians' lives have been shattered, and too many Canadians have paid with their lives for Liberal mistakes. So if they won't stop obstructing Conservative plans to fix what they broke, will they at least look the families of those victims in the eye and just say sorry?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservative leader always wants to bring U.S.-style politics to Canada.
That's right.
Let me be clear, Mr. Speaker. This didn't work in the U.S., and many of the states are already repealing that law. We're focused on real, practical, proven solutions that are constitutional and will keep criminals behind bars.
The Honourable Member for Kamloops Thompson Nicola.
157 kilograms. The amount of cocaine that was recently seized by Alberta police. Mr. Speaker, this type of drug is often laced with fentanyl and carfentanil and goes on to kill thousands. The reality is that there's a lack of disincentive for drug dealers not to do this because of soft on crime policies by these Liberals. So the question is this: when will they stop obstructing and start repealing their soft on crime agenda?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, let me take this opportunity to thank law enforcement for their diligent and hard work in ensuring that drugs are off our streets. If this member is serious about protecting our borders, Mr. Speaker, he will support us in passing the Strong Borders Act, Bill C-2. It will help us crack down on fentanyl, auto theft, money laundering, illegal firearms, irregular migration, and organized crime while upholding the privacy and charter rights of Canadians. This will give law enforcement the tools they need to dismantle increasingly sophisticated organized criminal networks. A secure Canada is a strong Canada, Mr. Speaker, and we are taking action to ensure the safety.
The Honourable Member for Vaughan Woodbridge.
3 weeks, Vaughan has seen 7 shootings, 7 incidents of violent crime. Since the Liberal government changed the bail laws, violent crime is up by 50%. Wow. Our Conservative motion calls for a 3 strikes and you're outlaw to keep repeat violent offenders in jail. So why is the Liberal government waiting until next month to introduce bail legislation, putting more Canadians in danger every day? The Prime Minister's failure to act is a betrayal of the victims of crime. When will the Liberals stop obstructing so people can feel safe in their own homes?
Oh, great question.
The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, one of the ways that the Conservatives can be effective is they can help us pass C2.
That's right.
Currently, all mail couriers like UPS, FedEx, Purolator, they can all be checked for drugs. What can't be checked is packages of Canada Post under 500 grams. 2 grams of fentanyl is lethal. It can kill a human being. Why are the Conservatives on the side of drug traffickers?
The Honourable Member for Fundy Royal.
Mr. Speaker, if anyone has an interest in taking dangerous guns off the street, it's the police. But in a stunning indictment of the Liberals' gun confiscation scheme, the Ontario Provincial Police have just told this government they will not participate in their ridiculous gun grab. The OPP know what we've been saying all along, that spending hundreds of millions of dollars to confiscate the property of law-abiding Canadians will not make our streets any safer. Today, the Liberals have the opportunity to do the right thing and put an end to their catch-and-release justice system. Will the Liberals stop obstructing and support our motion to keep violent repeat offenders off our streets?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, on April the 28th this year, Canadians gave this government a mandate to ensure that guns are off our streets, including continuing and completing the gun buyback program. I respect the decision of the Ontario Provincial Police in this regard, Mr. Speaker. It's important to remember that OPP represents about 26% of overall policing in Ontario. This doesn't mean that we can't and won't continue with the program and collection facilities and municipal police. Mr. Speaker, we can't be tough on crime without being tough on guns. This is exactly what we're doing to keep Canadians safe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Liberal bail laws have broken the system beyond parity. In St. Thomas, a repeat offender was arrested for breaking and entering, released on bail with a curfew. He had to be in his home by 10 p.m. every night. But there's an issue. He's homeless. He doesn't have a home. The Liberals have made it so ridiculous people are getting released on bail with a curfew to nowhere. Violent offenders are getting out after being arrested. The Liberals are doing nothing about it. If they're not going to stand up and commit to supporting our 3 strikes you're out motion now, how many strikes do they think is enough to lock up a repeat offender?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
This government is tough on crime. We're introducing new legislation this fall to strengthen our bail system for those charged with violent offences. Through our Stronger Borders Act C2, we're cracking down on organized crime, auto theft, fentanyl, and human traffickers, and securing our borders. We're listening to Canadian law enforcement agencies, and we are going to ensure that we put forward measures that keep Canadians safe.
Hear, hear. Great job.
The honourable member for Oxford.
Mr. Speaker, soft on crime, Liberal laws are hard on Canadians and our communities. Just yesterday, Halton Region passed a unanimous motion demanding action from the Liberals on repeat violent offenders now, not in October, not next year. After a decade of Liberal catch and release laws that have allowed criminals to terrorize our communities, they're now obstructing conservative jail, not bail laws that will lock up our criminals. How many lives have to be lost before the Liberals finally wake up and get out of the way?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, slogans are not going to resolve crime on our streets. What's important for us is that we bring forward legislation to address the issues around serious violent offenders as well as bail reform. That's exactly what the Minister of Justice is doing. He's been consulting with Canadians across Canada. I've been able to meet with a number of police chiefs as well as police unions to talk about smart criminal justice reform. That's exactly what we'll be doing, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Hastings, Lennox and Addington, Tyendinaga.
The Prime Minister was elected on the promise that he was the only one that could deliver a trade deal with the United States. Instead, here's the dismal record. Promised a deal by July 21st, there's no deal. Promised elbows up. Instead, antagonized an unpredictable administration. Promised strength at the table. Instead, delivered concession after concession with nothing in return. Mr. Speaker, meanwhile in Mexico, they got a deal. Their exports to the U.S. went up 1.4% last quarter, while ours dropped 18%. Mr. Speaker, what has Mexico done so right that this Prime Minister has done so wrong?
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
We have the best deal on earth right now when it comes to exporting. Now we know, because 85% of all our products being sent to the U.S. are without any tariffs. Now we know also that we need to be there for the businesses and the workers in the sectors that are now tariffed. And we are here with $6 billion on the table to help them. Now, Mr. Speaker, we also know that we're over-dependent on the U.S., and all members of this House should be getting behind the government's plan because we need to diversify.
The honourable member for Hastings, Lennox and Addington, Tyendinaga.
If we have the best deal, then why do we have the worst economy in the G7? Mr. Speaker, deadline after deadline has come and gone, and this government's promised trade deal is nowhere to be found. After failing at the negotiating table in Washington, this Prime Minister is now off to Mexico City, desperate to claim any kind of win. Compare that to our Mexican counterparts, who successfully negotiated a deal, sending their exports to the U.S. up 1.4% last quarter, while ours fell 18%. Mr. Speaker, again, what has Mexico done so right that this Prime Minister has done so wrong?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, Canada and the U.S. share the world's most integrated, mutual beneficial trade partnership. That's not up for debate. Millions of jobs in Canada and the U.S. depend on our trading relationship. Canada already, and it's unequivocal, has the best deal amongst U.S. trading partners. While we continue to negotiate with the U.S. and with Mexico, our government is focused on what we control the most, diversifying our trade relations and supporting Canadian businesses and all sectors.
The honourable member for Peterborough.
Speaker, residents of my riding have contacted me and my team to express their frustrations with the delays they experience when they try to contact the CRA. We know that the dedicated employees of the CRA provide valuable services.
Sorry, I couldn't hear anything, so I think the member will have to start from the top, if she doesn't mind. From the top, please. Maybe in a minute, but from the top for sure. So from the top.
Mr. Speaker, residents of my riding have contacted me and my team to express their frustrations with the delays they experience when contacting the CRA. We know that the dedicated employees of the CRA provide valuable services to Canadians, but the reality is clear. Demand has increased significantly in recent years and the system needs to be improved. Could the Secretary of State for the CRA and financial institutions inform this House of the measures taken by the government to improve services delivery at the CRA?
The Honourable It's nice to see such unity in the House. The Secretary of State for Financial Institutions and the CRA.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for that great question. Mr. Speaker, delays at CRA call centers are completely unacceptable. We all know that.
The honourable member may continue.
First, that's my first standing ovation. Thank you. But seriously,
What happens when there's interruptions like this is I can't really follow the clock, so I have no control over how much time I give for the answer. So with the Secretary of State for Financial Institutions and the CRA, I'd like to start from the top, please.
Mr. Speaker, we all know that the delays Canada faces, Canadians face at CRA call centers is completely unacceptable. It's not on the CRA employees. They are world-class public servants. This is a systemic failure that's unfolded over decades. We've implemented a 100-day plan to improve service and access and eliminate
Is the honourable member? Did the honourable member finish his answer? Stand up again.
It's your questions you're losing. It's your questions you're losing.
Mr. Speaker, in all seriousness, Canadians from coast to coast to coast are frustrated with CRA call center delays. I know that. This is not on CRA employees. They're world-class public servants. This is systemic failure over decades. That's why we're implementing a 100-day plan.
That's right.
To improve service and accessibility, and we're going to eliminate delays.
That's right.
The Union of Taxation Employees and the Taxpayers Ombudsman also have expressed support. I'm going to work with CRA leadership. I'm going to hold them accountable. We are going to fix this. Thank you.
The honourable member for Simcoe North.
His plan is to pile on debt, but to obscure that picture with accounting changes. But now the Parliamentary Budget Officer is warning against making these changes, saying that if the government obscures its own books, it will, in the PBO's words, bet your boots will be paying more for debt. Wow. So will the Finance Minister agree that doubling the size of the deficit puts Canada's credit rating at risk, but it exposes taxpayers and households to higher borrowing costs and higher interest rates?
A minute. Here we go. A minute. Oh, you got it.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance.
Well, unlike the member opposite, we respect the work of the PBO and the independence of the institutions that make our democracy so great in this country. Our government is focused on delivering generational investments in the upcoming federal budget, which the minister announced will be on November 4th. This is good news for Canadians. A budget is coming that will ensure Canadians that we have a prosperous future. We're building Canada strong. The opposition members should get on board.
The honourable member for Edmonton West.
This tired, old Liberal government has doubled the deficit and has abandoned any fiscal anchors it once had, putting Canada's AAA credit rating at risk. The Parliamentary Budget Officer warns that rating agencies are not going to tolerate Liberal accounting tricks, and that if they even have a sniff of a change of a budget presentation, Canadians will be paying higher interest rates immediately. Why is this government playing political games with the budget and risking higher costs for all Canadians?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance.
I think Canadians are getting tired of the Conservative Chicken Little routine. We know this week we had great news that inflation is at 1.9%, which is actually within the band that the Bank of Canada's target range. That's good news for Canadians because the Bank of Canada dropped interest rates this week by 0.25%. That means more money in the pockets of Canadians. That means Canadians save more on their mortgages this week compared to last. That's the bottom line, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Newmarket Aurora.
The Prime Minister promised more jobs, but the only thing that's booming is unemployment. EIUs among women aged 25 to 54 is up 12% in just 1 month. And overall, EI claims are up nearly 13% year over year. Yet another Liberal broken promise. In Newmarket, I met a mother. She cannot find a stable job. She worries about feeding her 3 kids and paying her rent, and that worry follows her every hour of the day. When will this Liberal government face the damage it has done and apologize to Canadian women for the hardship their policies have caused?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Family.
You know what, Mr. Speaker? 4 months ago, Canadians chose to invest in themselves. They chose a government who saw the promise and potential in creating great jobs across this country, in investing in major projects and infrastructure, and ensuring that people had the skills they needed as our economies change and technology changes jobs. Mr. Speaker, they knew on this side, a Liberal government would protect them and their families now and into the future, and they knew they risked all of that with the cuts that Conservatives propose.
Honourable member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Mr. Speaker, that was truly a striking answer from the minister. My colleague pointed out that EI claims have gone up by 12% among women in that age group in just 1 month. And the minister's response, at least we have jobs. At least the Liberals are still here. Mr. Speaker, they should think less about themselves and their own jobs and more about women and people of all ages who have been negatively affected by their policies. The Parliamentary Budget Officer said the labour market sucks, wages are not going up. They are presiding over an employment disaster. When will they reverse course?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Family.
Mr. Speaker, take it from a Conservative to try to torque the words that I clearly did not say. In fact, what I said was that Canadians chose a government that would invest in them, that would adjust our EI measures to reflect a changing economy so that people could access EI where previously they couldn't, where people could keep more of their earnings if they were separated from their job, where people would have longer weeks in case of a collapse of their industry. Mr. Speaker, we know that there are sectors struggling through increased tariff action, and we have not stopped. We have not stopped to protect Canadian families. That's what they...
The Honourable Member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Mr. Speaker, the minister is so busy congratulating herself that she hasn't taken...
From the top, please. The Honourable Member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Mr. Speaker, the minister is so busy congratulating herself for I don't know what that she hasn't actually listened to the numbers that we heard from Statistics Canada today. The situation is truly dire when it comes to unemployment.
12% increase for women 25 to 54 in 1 month alone. 23% increase year over year. Unemployment has been going up steadily for 3 years. Youth unemployment is at recession levels. We have the worst youth employment numbers in over 25 years. Mr. Speaker, this isn't the time for self-congratulation. This is the time to change the policy.
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, I'm congratulating Canadians because Canadians chose a government that knew when things were tough that government would protect them. What did we do, Mr. Speaker? Even before the election and enhanced after, we made sure that if a Canadian's job was threatened through unfair tariff action, they would be protected. And they knew that Conservatives would not take care of them in these economically challenging times. They knew they couldn't count on Conservatives. Why, Mr. Speaker? Because every time Conservatives had a chance to stand up for Canadians, they voted against them.
Wow. The Honourable Member for Hamilton East, Stony Creek.
Food inflation is up 70% since the Liberals took office. Groceries are up 3.5%. That's 70% above inflation target. Beef up 33%. Canned soup up 26%. Grapes up 24%. The Prime Minister said Canadians would judge him by the cost at the grocery stores. The new report from Food Banks Canada gives Canada a failing grade on food insecurity. He has failed. Does the self-proclaimed great economist Prime Minister think that long lines at the food banks are good for our economy?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Sport.
Mr. Speaker, Food Banks Canada conducts important research and they also make very important recommendations for governments. They say that we should strengthen the social safety net to support Canadians facing affordability challenges. So we're doing that with dental care, with the middle class tax cut, with Build Canada Homes, with $10 a day childcare. Those things are making a difference in Canadians' lives, and the Conservatives voted against every single one of those measures. Are the Conservatives content to just keep pointing fingers, or are they going to make some recommendations? Maybe read the report from the experts like food bankers across the country serving Canadians.
The Honourable Member for Hamilton East, Stony Creek.
Nicole from the Stony Creek Food Bank informed my office that 1 in 4 households need to visit a food bank. 1 in 3 individuals walking in are children. They were serving 30 to 40 families per day before the summer, now 55 to 65 per day. That's up 71% since spring. Quote, Christmas season demand without Christmas level donations. Canadians were promised food prices would decrease, but they've gone up. Would the Prime Minister please explain to the good people of Stony Creek why this promise was broken?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Sport.
Speaker, when I take the time to sit down with food bankers and experts in poverty reduction right across the country, they make recommendations. They talk about strengthening our social safety net and making sure that there's services like EI available to Canadians. Mr. Speaker, we've also got challenges with northern food insecurity, and that is something that we are working on directly on the advice of experts in poverty reduction. So again, I'll ask, will the Conservatives just continue to point fingers or make some real recommendations? Maybe perhaps read the Food Banks report, garner a little bit of insight from the experts on the front lines, and work together to end this crisis.